Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod. Presented to you by DSM Media as well as your host, myself, the Slim Reaper, aka the Slimster. You can follow me on X at RTR30111. You can follow your other host here, Scotty Drown on X, man, the one and only Scotty. And yeah, man, today we'll be recapping the past 3 days of NBA free agency. There's been a lot of moves that's been taking places and whatnot. Free shocking moves that had transpired, that caught us by surprise. And yeah, man, as well as just discussing the free agency signing that has happened thus far. And yeah, it should be a very fun show. Like me and my guy Scott was just discussing before we got on here. But before we dive into any of those topics, my guy Scott, how you doing on this fine Thursday morning? It's a little different, the viewers out there, we going live. It's been a minute since we did this because at one point we was going live in the morning, but it's been a
Yeah,
while. But how you doing today, brother?
it's you're right, man. It's been a minute since we did the morning show, but we're just trying to fit it in on this busy holiday week.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling good, man. The NBA has it's been honestly more exciting than what I thought. Just when you look
Oh,
at
really?
the grand scale of free agents that were becoming available, it didn't look too appealing outside of some guys who had like player options or team options, different things like that. Like we saw LeBron, we saw James Harden sign an extension.
Yeah.
So things like that, obviously, you kind of expected those things to happen. Maybe not the number that Harden got extended at. I saw a lot of people complaining that maybe he doesn't deserve that amount of money at his age, but I thought he played pretty well for LA last year. But it's things like that, right? Like the extensions, different things. But then you have some really random trades mixed in here where I do think there are teams getting better, man. Yeah, we're gonna get into all of it though. I got a list of free agents that we'll discuss shortly here. We definitely want to start at the top, obviously, with the Dame and the Milwaukee situation. Giannis rumors floating around. Does Giannis approve of this big move that the Milwaukee Bucks have decided to do? I think this is the one that caught everybody off guard, man. But let's
Absolutely.
start there, man. Dame obviously gets waived by the Milwaukee Bucks. This is shortly after the Bucks traded Drew Holiday, amongst other things, to go and get Dame from the Portland Trailblazers. And this is where Dame ultimately ends up a free agent. He's coming off a horrible Achilles injury this past season, may not play most of this upcoming season. What are your thoughts first? Let's just look at it from Bucks situation. What are your thoughts first on the Bucks waiving Dame Lillard, basically eating his contract for the remaining length of it?
Man, it was definitely a shocking move. I'm not gonna lie to you. I definitely had it on my bingo card. If I'm keeping it a buck with you, because it's like, okay, we all knew Damian Lillard just suffered an Achilles injury in his past playoffs or whatnot, right? So it's like, well, you could have probably let him just healed up and maybe traded him, not instead of just waiving him, because regardless, you're still going to have to pay him, when it's
Yeah,
all said and done. So instead of
yeah.
just flipping him for, I don't know, a better asset or whatnot. But no, man, my initial thoughts, it was definitely a shocking move. Like I said, I definitely had it on my bingo card. And but that's the NBA though, bro. You have to always kind of be ready for the unexpected in this league. We've seen that time and time again, year after year. So it just was like, dang, this really happened. But it sucks, man, because I remember when Damian Lillard first got traded to Milwaukee. Everybody was kind of hyping his move up, like, man, this duo can really do something
Him and
special.
Giannis. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, man, just been injuries after injuries. The past 2 years that they have been together in the postseason. So it definitely sucks. But nah, man, I was definitely shocked when this move transpired, though, for sure.
You just brought something to mind for me, man. And it's interesting. It doesn't really matter now, but it is interesting nonetheless. If you were the Bucks and you could go back and not trade Drew Holiday, man, wouldn't you just take that back? You know what I mean? If you could just hold on to that core of Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton obviously dealt with the injuries as well once
Yeah.
Dame got there. That didn't help anything. But at least Drew would have been there, right? And Dame has been injured through a lot of his time in Milwaukee so far. And you obviously had the fit. Like Giannis, it worked. It worked with Drew, and they did get an NBA championship. You sold out. Dame at the time was definitely the better player, so it's not like anybody's, calling them fools in the moment, but it is just an interesting thought looking back. And now you see Drew end up back in Portland, right? He won his championship with Boston back in Portland. It's just interesting how things have turned out. But looking at it continued from the Bucks situation, more from Giannis's perspective. If you were Giannis, how do you feel about this? Like you're turning the page on Dame fairly quickly here, but not only that, you bring in Miles Turner. You lose Brook Lopez, right? Brook Lopez went to the Clippers, I believe.
Yeah,
the LA Clippers, which that's beside the point. I love that fit backup for Zubac. That's an awesome fit out there in LA. But you get your replacement in Miles Turner ultimately. But that contract, I mean, I don't have it in front of me currently. But how do you feel if you're Giannis? Does that like get you to buy into Milwaukee more, or does it just make you more confused?
It definitely should, in my opinion, because I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, the past 3 years, I know Giannis has been kind of giving the front office a hard time in terms of just, making sure they're making the right moves to ultimately help them compete for another title. But at some point, we do have to get the Bucks a lot of credit here because the way I look at it, like they have been doing their due diligence and just going out there and making the proper moves to help him compete for a title. Like bringing the guy in like Miles Turner, like nobody expected that. I thought he was for sure going to re-sign with the Pacers, but it just goes back to what I just said. You have to always be prepared for the unexpected, in this league. But nah, he definitely should be satisfied with a movement like that. I mean, you go from Brook Lopez to a younger Miles Turner. He still has a lot of value in this league. Rim protector, can stretch the floor for you. So that's definitely an upgrade in my opinion. Is it enough to compete? I wouldn't say that, but considering the fact that the East is wide open next year, I'm pretty sure they'll still be in a mix of things. We'll see what they do. Try to go out there and get another point guard via trade or via sign a free agent. But I feel like Giannis should be happy with that move, and it should definitely make him stay for sure. I don't just see a reason to kind of just leave because they, like I said, they are out there making moves and it's showing. So you should be kind of grateful for that for sure.
Yeah, I do get your point because the Bucks even last season, I mean, they tried to make like cost-effective moves with upside, right? You talk about Kevin Porter Jr. He's a guy that obviously has shown talent while he's been in the league. He comes with bad reputation off the court. You take the risk, you take the low pay, right, for the upside of Kevin Porter Jr. You had Torian Prince. He played well for them last season. You had Kyle Kuzma, right? Traded for him. Didn't play well for them, but they took a swing, to your point, to try to help Giannis, try to help this team just pack more of a punch, right? So maybe he gets more of an opportunity with, Dame out the door. And obviously Dame wasn't going to be there that much next year anyways. So you're kind of looking at the scope beyond next season regardless if you're the Bucks. So I do get that standpoint as well. Miles Turner is interesting to me, man, because I do agree. I think he's a quality pickup. He's 29 years old. He was a focal point in that Indiana team, like whether people want to admit that or not. Defensively, he was a focal point. His ability to space the floor, hit the three ball, is obviously huge, and it's going to be huge around Giannis. To your point, having a younger version of Brook Lopez, I do think it's a great fit.
Yeah.
I think what puzzles me is it a bigger acquisition for Milwaukee or a bigger loss for the Indiana Pacers? Because now I'm looking at the Pacers and they're in a perplexing situation. They just lost Tyrese Halliburton to a torn Achilles. Same thing as Dame, right? Like a torn Achilles. You're going to lose the focal point of your defense and the guy that's just simply been on the Pacers the longest, right? He's been there through it all. And now next season just doesn't look as promising, right? Like maybe you get more from Nembhard. I'm curious on your thoughts there. Like, is it a bigger loss for Indiana or is it a bigger acquisition for Milwaukee?
I think it may be a bigger loss for Indiana because They don't really just have a center. They got to go out there and try
Right.
to find one. And I'm be honest with you, bro. Like the market for like high level centers is not high at the moment. It's got some OGs out there like Al Horford, and they can bring sign Thomas Bryant if they want, but I don't know if he's a starting level center in this league today. Maybe a backup, but yeah, I think it's a bigger loss for Indiana, man, because a center with that skill set is kind of hard to come across. If I'm being honest, a real protector that can stretch the floor for you. So yeah, man, it's very interesting for sure. We'll see how Indiana, like, what direction they pivot towards, because I don't think that they're going to do anything next season anyway. Tyrese Halliburton
Right.
going to pretty much be out, so you can just let him recover and not try to rush. So I think that's kind of another reason why Miles Turner kind of left too. Like he knew that they wasn't going to just be competitive for real next season, so he just took the advantage to go ahead and bounce. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think
He
it's a
is
bigger
older.
loss for Indiana. So yeah,
No, I think that's a great call out. You look at Miles Turner, he is approaching 30. He's 29 right now. He
Mhm.
doesn't have time to waste. Indiana probably not going to be able to do anything as far as contention next year. So you kind of just put the placeholder on next season and see what you can do, going into that
Yeah.
2026-2027 season when Halliburton returns at full health. So yeah, it's not looking great for the Pacers, but we'll see where it ends up
Yeah,
for
and
them.
then also I say, bro, like with the Buck side of things,
Yeah.
like Brandon Jennings brought this to my attention, bro. He was like, apparently like the Buck front office is like paying dudes because I think that they still paying like two head coaches or maybe three. Well, yeah, because three because
Budenholzer,
You
Doc
paying Doc
Rivers.
Rivers, and you still paying Mike Budenholzer, and what's that guy name? They just
Who
waived
was
him.
the homie before Doc?
Uh, Damn, what's the dude name, man?
Was it Adrian Griffin?
Yes, him. You
Yeah,
you
from
so you
Toronto,
still
right?
got three
Yeah.
coaches on payroll, and now you just waived Damon Lillard. Which, by the way, I think that if a team don't pick him up by today, that they're going to have to pay him the rest of that contract. So I look at it as a win-win situation. If you Damon Lillard, like you get a chance to rehab, you still getting your bread, and you can pick what team you want to go to. That's a win in my opinion. So hey,
Yeah. That's a great point when you look at it from Dame's perspective. I mean, this is probably the the best situation that he's had as far as like the freedom
yeah,
that he's going
choose
to be
his
able to
own
work with.
destiny.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously talk about that at a later time, but there's going to be teams that are going to be highly interested in Dame Lillard returning from that injury or not, right? Like becoming healthy again. There's going to be teams that are going to take that risk on him. So I do agree with you there, man. Um, Anything else on this move? It's not necessarily a trade or
Yeah,
anything, but they're
that's
Bucks are kind of trading Dame to free agency for Miles Turner to bring him back in.
yeah.
But
Nah, that's pretty much it, man. Let's keep this show rolling.
yes, sir, Martian. Appreciate you tapping in, Martian. How you doing, my man?
Yeah,
Happy
appreciate it, man.
what is it? Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday, man.
Dame better not pick a loser team. Yeah, that's a great point, Martian. It's something we'll discuss at a later time, but better pick the right team when he
Yeah,
decides to
for
come
sure.
back. Let's talk about this Denver move, man, because Denver they've made some interesting moves this offseason. They brought
Yeah,
back Bruce Brown, who was part of that
yeah,
championship team a couple years ago.
yeah.
Think that's a great move. They traded Michael Porter Jr. and was it a first round pick for Cam Johnson? I believe it was a first.
Yeah, it was like 2031, something like that.
Yeah. So you get Cam Johnson in return for Michael Porter Jr. and some draft comp. I think it's a solid move. You get off that Michael Porter Jr. contract. He's always injured. You get a guy in return in Cam Johnson that basically does similar things, except he might do it better.
Yeah,
Maybe not
he's
better, but more. He's just on the court more consistently. If
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I like the trade. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like it's a good addition. Cam Johnson is a pretty healthy dude, and he's cheaper. You saving money. I had seen this tweet, bro. Like, I think Michael Porter Jr. make like 38 million a year, and they said that they traded one player to get Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Valachunas, and who else? Oh, and Tim Hardaway Jr. And all of those guys' contract add up to MPJ salary.
The
So that's kind of
MPJs.
that is very impressive. It really is. So
Yeah,
yeah, shout out
which
to the Niggas GM.
That's why I brought Martian's comment up here. Like Denver could have gotten more for MPJ. No, I don't think that's the
Yeah,
case. I don't think they could
I
have.
don't think his value was necessarily that high. Like, with all due respect, I think that that's a fair move.
Yeah. Because what? Let's look at the numbers. Cam Johnson last year,
Yeah, Cam Johnson averaged
he
like
averaged what?
18 a
17,
game
18
last
points.
year. Same with MPJ, averaged like 18 a game. So yeah,
And then it comes down to games played, right? And how old is one another? So Cam Johnson's 29. He averaged close to 19 points per game last year, so 18.8 points per game. Played 57 games for the Nets. He shot 39% from the 3-point line. All sounds great, right? Especially next to Nikola Jokic. Porter
he might.
Jr.
Yeah,
See what Porter Jr. was
he
working with.
might he might average 20 in that system. I ain't gonna lie, because he'll be getting a lot of open looks, bro.
He's going to get a lot of open looks, man. You look at Michael Porter Jr. last year, 18 points per game, 7 rebounds. That's probably one area he has one up on Cam Johnson is rebounding. Shot 39.5% from the 3-point line, and
That's impressive.
he did play 77 games last season. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm
Yeah,
tripping on Michael Porter
and then I
Jr.
will
Am
say
I?
this though, like, you do have to give MPJ his credit, because he was like playing in the playoffs with like a one shoulder. If I'm being honest, like he was still playing. Like, his shoulder was messed up the whole postseason, but he still was playing.
Yeah,
So
that is fair. Because I'm looking back and it's like, okay, he played 77 games last season. He played 81 games the season before, so he only missed one regular season game.
okay,
62 the season before, 9 the season before that. But I guess it is the postseason where we started to see Michael Porter Jr. deal with the injuries, not be able to play consistently. But
yeah,
I apologize. I apologize for putting that reputation on him because it
mhm,
has been a few years since he has been like overall like not in the lineup very often. So he's trying to play. So
yeah,
overall, I think when I look at this, man, like it seems pretty fair. Like it seems like a really good deal both ways. I mean, you get the first round pick with Michael Porter Jr. I do agree with Martian here, like MPJ and Cam Thomas. That is a weird
he
fit,
passed,
but
he passed on the
we'll see
ball.
what they can do, man. Cam Thomas, he's another perplexing player that he has not been re-signed yet, right? He's a
Yeah,
restricted free agent.
I was just gonna say, but he's not re-signed, so we don't even know if Brooklyn going to bring him back or not.
Right. So maybe he's not a part of the plans, man, which we talked about that before we hopped on here. Is Cam Thomas like a winning basketball player? Like we know he can score, but is he a winning basketball player? I just I don't know. I don't know about that. But before we get into the overall, we're gonna do a speed burst through a bunch of the moves here.
Yeah,
Before we do that, I did want to take some time. I know you wanted to as well. Let's talk about our teams real quick, man. We got the Warriors, we got the
yeah.
Sixers. We're dealing with some pending restricted free agents themselves. I'll throw it to you first, and then we can hop back over to the Sixers. Warriors. We got Jonathan Kuminga, obviously a restricted free agent. There's been rumors. Does he get traded? Does he get moved? Does he sign back? What's the market look like for him in the restricted field? Um, there's been a lot of rumors about Al Horford coming
Yeah,
to the
I've been seeing
Warriors. How do we feel about that?
that.
I'll throw it to you, man. Start with Kuminga. Where are you at mindset wise with him and what you think should happen with him? And then maybe we can talk about Al Horford a little bit.
My thing is with Kaminga, bro. Like, I want the dude to get his payday. I feel like he's a very talented player in this league, and he has like visions to be an all star. So, if he feel like he can be that, then he should definitely go to a team that can allow him to do that. Because I don't think that he's going to reach that ceiling here in Golden State. So, and saying, I think that his time up is here. Like, we're just trying to figure out like a sign and trade scenario while he also gets his money. But to your point, like, it's just kind of hard to get him like over 17 million, like, due to the new CBA, bro. Like, a lot of teams don't have cap space for real, and it's
Yeah,
sort of like difficult because if we send him out like at a starting salary of like 18 million, we only can take so much back. So it's very interesting, but I think that in the few more days, it's trending towards him like getting the deal done elsewhere, and we just get like some nice pieces in return. Because I don't think that he's going to come back to Golden State. At least that's what all the signs point to anyway. But yeah, we shall see, man. It's very interesting. But with the Al Horford potential signing, I wouldn't be mad at it. Like his skill set, we need a stretch big. The only thing is though, like obviously he's about to be 40, but I
Yeah.
mean, when you look at the market out there, bro, there isn't a ton of like stretch bigs left out there, so he may just be the best option. But we shall see. I wouldn't be mad at the signing. So
It's
yeah,
very, yeah, it's very scarce. And to your point, I don't think you can be mad at bringing in Al Horford. And I say that with major experience. But he's proved in Boston. If you put him in a winning environment around winners, obviously you have that in Golden State. He can be a viable option. He can be of quality to a winning team.
yeah,
So
stretch
yeah,
bigs. So
I think honestly, Golden State would be a great spot for Al Horford at this point in his career. If he's not going to retire, like find a spot where you're not going to have to do too much, but still
mhm.
can contribute. And I think Golden State is that place. Yeah, Kuminga. To your point, man, Kuminga. I don't know. I'm like thinking about him and Grimes, right? Because Grimes had his like a little bit of a breakout, once he got to Philly and he got to have the ball in his hands and show what he could do. Like I guess what I'm thinking through here is like, who do you think garners the like more value? Quentin Grimes, Jonathan Kuminga.
It's a good question. I think I'm gonna say Kaminga because I think it's a wings league for real,
Yeah,
and he's an athletic wing, so you really can't go wrong with that. So
yeah.
yeah.
Because to that point, bro, as I'm thinking through it, and it like if I could choose whether to give my money to Quentin Grimes or to give my money to Jonathan Kuminga from the Sixers standpoint,
Yeah.
I almost think I would go with Jonathan Kuminga. So to
Okay.
your point, yeah, I think wings just hold a little bit more value. I think he just hasn't had the time or opportunity to really, really show what he can do in Golden State on a full scale stage. So yeah, I do agree with you there. Um, when it comes to the Sixers in Quentin Grimes, ultimately, I think the market to your point is shaping out very well for the Sixers in order to bring him back. I think we had to sit here and we had to watch Yabusele go to the New York Knicks. Um, I wasn't heartbroken that we lose Yabusele. It was more that he went to the Knicks. Like that shit
Yeah.
sucks. He was somebody that was very much beloved by the fan base. He's just a good character guy. He tries really hard, obviously. And made his name for himself in the NBA again after having to leave for a few seasons. So congrats to him. But I think we let him go because we are focused on bringing back Quentin Grimes. And I have to just hope and believe that that's the case, because if we lose
Yeah.
both of them, that's gonna hurt really bad.
Yeah,
And
it definitely is. Yeah.
I'm not trying to see that. So yeah, I think there was a report. I think that Grimes wanted 25 million per.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, I seen that.
If you can go out and find a team to do that, by all means, go do it, man. Go get the bag. Go do what you got to do, because I get it. 25 million a year. If you get a 4-year contract, it's $100 million. So
Yeah.
if you can go out and garner that from the market, go out and do it, man. It would be dumb to not do that. But I don't think with the new CBA, one, I don't even think there's teams out there that are capable of doing that. And two, I just don't think people are going to spend their resources, especially winning teams, right? Teams that the Sixers should be competing, barring health, with. Um, I don't see them making a drastic move like that for Quentin Grimes, which he has a ton of upside. He showed a ton of upside. We do need to see it over a season, over 2 seasons. We need to see it with other stars there. Maxey, McCain, how does he fit with them? How does he fit with Embiid, Paul George? So these are all things that need to be factored in. He had a great breakout season. I respect it,
Yeah.
but he's not the end all be all. And I think that is something that we definitely see by drafting VJ Edgecombe, because that's
Mhm.
another guard. And so as I talk myself through it, man, I don't know if bringing Grimes, I don't think it's mandatory, is what I'm saying from the Sixers standpoint,
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing. I think that works in their favor towards bringing him back.
Yeah.
Just want to check.
So like, where would you think that the salary should start for him? Like, because I think I was saying like, I don't know if you guys have access to the mid level exception or something like that. Because I seen that Drummond opted into it and Oubre, so that's like a combined 13 million, something like that. I don't know.
How much did Tim Hardaway Jr. just get?
He got the minimum.
Oh, he got the minimum from Denver.
Yeah, he got the minimum. So I just want to see like I think 14 to 13 million is pretty good for Grimes. 25 million in my opinion is definitely pushing it. I don't know how realistic that is for him to get that. But to your
So
point, if you can get it, then they go get it.
so this is what I'm reading right now. I wanted to look it up before I spoke on it because I'm not 100% sure on the numbers with Grimes, but it says here the numbers. The max a team can currently offer Quentin Grimes in an offer sheet is 14.1 million. The NTMLE. So I'm not sure what
Okay.
NT means. MLE mid-level exception, obviously.
Yeah.
Sixers can match any offer unless they hard cap themselves at the second apron. They hard cap themselves by either using their 5.6 million TMLE or aggregating in trade. So some different scenarios, available space for Grimes under second apron.
Yeah.
Theoretical trade would be Oubre, Drummond, Council, and picks for PJ Washington, as the Sixers would be aggregating salaries that would also hard cap them at the second apron. So a trade like that would push the Sixers to the point where they couldn't
Yeah, I get
give
it.
Grimes that offer. I'm not a huge number guy. I'm not going to sit here and act like I understand fully what's
Yeah,
going
I
on and what I
understand that,
just
man.
read there. So,
Yeah.
it's possible. Is it going to happen? I don't think we know at this point. I think you're probably in a similar situation with Kuminga.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know,
this new
bro.
CBA, to your point.
Yeah, it's a new CBA, bro. Like my thing is though, like at least your team made moves. Goddamn it, we the only team in the league that has not done anything, bro. Like we 4 days in.
You did get Jimmy Butler at the deadline, so
Well,
like you
I
have to count that in a little
no,
bit. You know what I mean?
no, I definitely count that in. Like that was our big move. Like
Yeah, but the little marginal moves, I
yeah.
feel you.
But to be honest, bro, I really hope that we can figure out this Kaminga situation as fast as we can, bro. Because I would hate for this situation to kind of linger on into like mid-July, heck, even the end of the month, because that's just going to be tragic, bro. Because the
Yeah,
market is going to be dried up by then. And to your point too, like, I mean, not to your point, but for you too, like with Grimes, I hope you guys get that figured out as well. Just
yeah.
just
So you
go
know
looking
what you're
moving
working with.
forward. Yeah,
You know what I mean? We picked up Trendon Wofford. I
yeah,
didn't
that's a
know
good
a ton
pickup for
about
you
him,
guys.
but yeah, from what I've been seeing, he looks like a great fit. Apparently, good friends with Maxi. So we'll see what he can offer. He was signed to like what 5.2 million for 2 years. So I think that was a pretty low value deal, low risk. So we'll see how he fits. Sixers really need a power forward. That's the big thing right now. We have no power forwards on the roster, especially with Yabusele leaving. So we'll see where they go from there, my man.
Yeah.
But let me get this pulled up here, man. I do want to go through a couple of the other moves that kind of marginal moves in a sense, some of them bigger. And then we'll pick our biggest winner to round out the show here, my man.
Yes, sir.
Let's start at the top. So we had Lonzo Ball traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Isaac Okoro.
Yeah,
Is that
straight up.
correct?
Straight
Straight
up.
up trade. Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro. So you get Okoro to Chicago. You get Lonzo to Cleveland.
Mhm.
Does that signal the exit for Darius Garland? Are they going to try to move him? Or like, do you think that that's just like backup point guard option for
Well,
Lonzo?
I don't think it signals like for him to get traded. I just think that it's more so of bringing in like a defensive minded type of guard like Lonzo. Whereas it to like in the playoffs, if Darius Garland is kind of getting picked on, you can just bring in a guy like Lonzo who can, facilitate and still be good on defense. So I think there's just it's like an insurance policy. So I don't think that they're just signals for the Garland to that he's on the way out. So I think that it's a good pickup for them.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think it gives you some versatility in the backcourt. Like you said, they also picked up Tyrese Proctor in the draft, my guy from Duke. So he's another guy who can defend, hit the three ball. They got some good. They're building the right way in Cleveland. I know they had a disappointing postseason, but It feels like they're taking some low risk, high reward type of situations here.
Yeah.
On the other side, you had Isaac Okoro go to Chicago. I really don't have a clue in what Chicago's doing right now, so I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I do.
Yeah, I don't think none of us do, man. So
We'll see. We'll see where they end up, bruh. Colin Sexton traded to the Charlotte Hornets from Utah with the 2030 second round pick for Yusuf Nurkic.
Mm.
Does this move you at all?
Uh,
let me phrase it this way. How do you feel about what the Charlotte Hornets are doing?
well, I feel like them getting somebody like Colin Sexton is a good move. I'm not gonna lie to you. A bulldog, like a competitor. They need somebody like that. Somebody like that down there in Charlotte to try to like build a winning culture. If I'm being honest. But my thoughts is that I don't know what is like. They have like 9 guards over there, bro.
They
Like,
do.
they just signed Spencer Dinwiddie yesterday. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
They re-signed Trey Mann the other day. They just traded for Colin Sexton. You already got LaMelo. Your guy, is it Khan? Ain't he like a guard? Maybe a
Yeah,
wing.
he
Yeah, they
is.
have Brandon Miller. They have a lot of guards down there, so I don't know what's going on. But
Yeah. They just
um,
they traded for Vasil Micic as well from the Phoenix Suns. He's a point guard as well. He's like a 31-year-old point guard. So
well, he getting traded to the Bucks because the Bucks traded Pat
he's getting
Connaughton to
moved.
Charlotte. So
Oh, okay. That was the move after. I got you. So they did move Micic, which maybe does it see the plan in Milwaukee to take on the point guard role? Maybe he's older. I mean, veteran, sure.
yeah, overseas, but yeah, man, Charlotte they got a lot of guards over there for sure. But at least they're being busy right now. You know, maybe they got
Yeah,
something cooking up.
they're trying. What about from Utah's side? They get Ace Bailey. It looks like he's going to report, moving some of these contracts out. You got Jordan Clarkson. He got bought out, I believe,
Yeah,
headed to New York
I
Knicks.
think that I think they're making the right moves. You know, you bring in a veteran like Nurkic. You know, he's on a 1-year deal. You know, he could be a mentor to those guys. You know, even though he hasn't accomplished anything in this league, you know, he's pretty much a loser. You know, from a what it matters standpoint. Like, yes, he's making a lot of money, but he hasn't just won anything. So I think Utah making the right moves, bro. And to your point, like Ace Bailey finally reported, so that's a good thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what it turns into in Salt Lake City. Looking at the Hawks, I'm just going by date here, guys. So just bear with me. We have the Atlanta Hawks. They traded for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We saw him get some quality off that bench for the Minnesota Timberwolves the last couple postseasons. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what the Hawks can do. You already mentioned Pat Connaughton traded to the Hornets for Micic, as we mentioned. Duncan Robinson traded to Detroit, man. Does he fit with that Detroit culture?
Yeah, he
Is he going to
definitely
help
does,
them?
man. Yeah, he definitely does. A shooter, unfortunately, Malik Beasley messed up, bro. He was gonna get paid. Not Duncan Robinson took his money, so you know.
That is actually crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that Malik Beasley shit, man. That is crazy. That is honestly crazy. But
These guys ain't smart, man. Not smart, bro.
not smart. DeAndre Ayton gets bought out by Portland, and he is headed to LA, man. Is he gonna help LeBron chase that ring?
I will say this though, like a lot of people are saying, like trying to clown DeAndre Ayton and stuff, but whenever you get done talking though, bro, like that's their best option. Like last season, Jackson Hayes was a starting center when they traded AD. So
absolutely
going from Hayes to Ayton is obviously a clear upgrade here. So what are we talking about now? You're only paying to do $8 million a year, so that's pretty fair in my opinion. For 2 years,
no, I agree.
So it's a good pickup for sure. Even though we already knew that he was going there anyway, so
yeah, you knew what the signs were pointing to.
It was kind of obvious, bro.
All right, well, I'm going to go rapid fire. Just stop me if you want to comment on any of these. We obviously had. I'll start at Julius Randle here. So Julius Randle signed an extension with the Timberwolves. He's locked in there for 3 more years.
Solid.
We had James Harden sign the 2-year extension, as I mentioned earlier, 81.5 million. So he's getting a little over 40 million per year.
Man.
Good for him.
James Harden.
Good for Uno. Bobby Portis, he agrees to a 3-year extension with Milwaukee. That one surprised me because I thought he may be a guy that was headed out the door there, but
yeah, me too.
They bring him. Zaire Williams signs a 2-year deal with Brooklyn. Day'Ron Sharpe signs a 2-year deal with Brooklyn. Batum back to the Clippers. Jayshawn Tate back to Houston. Jeff Green back to Houston. Aaron Holiday back to Houston. Santi Aldama. That was a guy I was keeping my eye on, man. He's a quality player. Yeah, he goes back to Memphis. I like them keeping him. I think that's quality. Dorian Finney-Smith, you mentioned that earlier. He went to Houston, left the Lake Show. That was interesting.
I'm not gonna lie though, bro. With that signing, I know a lot of Houston fans are kind of excited about it. You know, he's a defender; he can knock down shots. But
you think he's overrated?
I think that's an overpay for keeping it a buck with you. Because isn't he like 33, something like that? If I had to take a guess, like
for 4 years.
Yeah. So I don't know about that, bro. It's the reason why the Lakers declined their player option, like, you know. So
I feel that.
If they win a championship, you know, by signing him, then it'll definitely be worth it. But if not,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it just is what it is. So
we had Jake LaRavia. He leaves Memphis, goes out to LA. D'Angelo Russell gets a deal with the Mavs. Ty Jerome gets a deal with Memphis.
That's solid.
Kevin Porter Jr. goes back to Milwaukee. Kevin Looney leaves Golden State, heads out to New Orleans. Thought that was a pretty solid pickup.
Yeah, my guy Loon, man. After 10 years, he's gone.
That is interesting. Luke Cornett, man. He gets the 4-year deal with San Antonio. Gets a nice deal. Yeah. Clint Capella returns to Houston, gets a nice 3-year deal with Houston.
Man, I was like, Houston is getting a lot of centers right now.
Right? Bulking up. Seems like they're going for an image though, right? Like toughness. That's what I'm picking up from Houston Rockets right now.
Yeah.
Trey Jones to a 3-year deal with the Bulls. Bruce Brown back to the Denver Nuggets. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I think that is a great fit.
Yeah, it is.
Sure. Brooke Lopez 2-year deal with the Clippers. I think that's another great fit to back up Zubac out there in LA.
A stretch big, you know.
Yes, sir. Tyus Jones to the Orlando Magic.
Man, you know what, bro? When I first seen it, I was like, I don't know if you remember, but I brought that idea up probably, I don't know if it was this year or last year. I was like, somebody like Tyus Jones would be a good fit because he's cheap. You know, he's a guy that don't turn the ball over. He can shoot the ball. Obviously, he's a playmaker, so I feel like that'll be a good fit. So,
yeah, no, I completely agree. You have Luke Kennard goes to the Atlanta Hawks on a 1-year deal. Jordan Clarkson, I mentioned earlier, goes to the Knicks. Gary Trent Jr. returns to the Bucks. My guy Yabusele goes to the Knicks. Looks like a 2-year deal for him. Mm-hmm. Miles Turner, we already talked about. Gary Harris to the Bucks. Dennis Schroeder to the Kings on a 3-year deal. He actually got paid pretty well, Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. $45 million. That's a good deal.
Surprised me a little bit because he was a guy that was like approaching being out of the league. I feel like a season or so ago.
Yeah, at one point, but when he went to Brooklyn, he was cooking. He kind of upped his value.
Proved himself a little bit. Yeah, good for him. Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Nuggets. We already talked about Duncan Robinson, Trendon Watford. Eric Gordon signs back with the Sixers. Yeah, that's pretty much it so far. Did I miss anything off the top of your head?
Nah, you pretty much named all the major moves. We ain't miss anything too crazy. I know Cash LeVert went to Detroit. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, he's going to Detroit. But did you see the Jaren Jackson Jr. Contract extension?
I did. Yeah, that's a good one actually. It was interesting. I thought maybe they would. But I guess he's locked in as the focal point of their team. I mean, even more than Ja, maybe.
It's an idea, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of an overpay, bro. Like, and I mess with Jared though. And it's so crazy, dude. This dude, he signed it. Well, he didn't sign it yet, but he got the extension and he injured his toe. So he's going to be out for like the first 4 months of the season. I said, this is crazy, bro. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. He just the foul trouble, the injuries with Jaren Jackson Jr. I just don't know if I'm investing that much into him. It just seems like they have a volatile situation in Memphis between Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. You traded away Desmond Bain. Maybe they're just trying to iron it out, though. Maybe they're trying to make those two the focal points of the team, and then you just put role players around them. So we'll see how it plays out for Memphis, nonetheless. But I guess to end the show here, man, let's get out of here. What, we got about 3 minutes to get out of here, my man. Biggest winner so far of the offseason. Let's just say the offseason. We don't even have to just pinpoint free agency, but overall in the offseason so far, who do you think?
So far, I'm gonna have to say this is definitely a toss up between Denver and Houston, but if I had to say so, I'm gonna go Houston. I think that when you get a guy like Katie and all the pieces that you're putting around him and the piece that you already had, I think that you can do something special with that. So I like the moves that they've been making. So I'm gonna have to say Houston, man, for sure.
Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here. Ayton protects the rim the same way. Going in on Ayton in the comments, apparently there.
Yeah.
But
I finally made it, huh? At the end.
he said he had a haircut, man. I was talking to him on the side. Me and D-Rab are friends outside of the show, just so everybody knows out there. But yeah, he had a haircut at the time we started, so he is getting in here a little late.
My God, D-Rab, man.
They did a good job rallying around him. I can't read that last part, but it's funny. Martian says the NBA is the biggest winner with all of the parity and apron rules. Yo,
you got a point. Really
I like that, Martian. I actually do like that. I think that's a great point because I think going into next season, I think OKC, maybe we could pencil them in as the true favorite.
Yeah.
But the $100 fades. Yo, you're not lying, Martian. The $100 fade. How much is your haircut, Slim?
Shoot. What I pay? I pay about 40.
40? Okay, that's better than my shit. My shit with tip, bro. My tip with tip, it's about $60.
Oh, okay.
I can see how it would be for 100. I could see how it could get up to 100, especially in some of the
well, most of these guys down here they pay priority, bro. I'm not finna pay down there 150 for no damn haircut.
Nah. You gotta be like implanting a crisp ass hairline in my shit for $150.
My haircut better be crispy for the next 3 months. I'm finna pay $150, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I feel it. All right, man. Let's end it out. My biggest winner of the offseason so far. I do agree with your selections, even the two that you did put out there. I think Houston, I think Denver. Denver wasn't on my mind. So you threw that one in there. That one came. I agree with Denver. The other one that I'll throw to you is Orlando. I mean, we just talked about them. We talked about the trade in a previous episode for Desmond Bain. And now you add Tyus Jones to that. And I know it's like these two players are very focused offensively, right? Like, and that's what they're getting brought in for.
Yeah, that's what they got the defense figured out.
That's where Orlando struggled. Yeah, to your point. Like, that's where they struggled. They needed guys that can score the rock outside of Franz and Paulo. They needed guys to be able to score around them. And they ultimately have gotten that so far. The offseason is not over, so they could add more. They could move other pieces to get better pieces in. I just really like the direction that Orlando's going. They got two young stars there, and they're now starting to build around them appropriately. So I like what they're doing in a weak East. We don't know
Yeah,
what's going to happen in the East next year with Boston in the shape that they're in. So, and then obviously Halliburton out for the season. So,
yeah.
yeah, I like Orlando, man, but Houston and Denver, they're right there. I would agree with those as well, my man.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. Another team I'm throwing in before we get out of here, bro, is
Yeah,
Atlanta. Like I like what the pieces they putting around Trey Young, like
yeah.
wings. You know, they got Chris Tops. You know, you're gonna get a healthy Jalen Johnson next season. We all
Luke
know the
Kennard,
talent he
they
can be in
added.
this league. So yeah, and then you hoping that the rookie Zachary can take another leap, the number one overall pick. So
Yeah,
yeah, man, I like the Atlanta team for sure. They're gonna be in the
D-Rab,
mix.
D-Rab agrees with you. He also says the Hawks. Yeah, I think
What
it
you mean
with
Hawks dub, bro? Come on, dude. You gotta chill out. This is it, bro.
Hey, entering an offseason where everybody thought maybe Trey Young is going to get moved and they end up just adding better pieces around him, I think. Yeah, they're having a
Now,
good
you know
offseason.
what
Great
though? You
call out.
asked me. I think you asked me last pod, like, was Chris Top his best teammate or something? And I was like, I don't know. I will say this though. I think that this is the best team he has had around him. You know,
Yeah,
when you look at everybody's skill set in today's league, like what's valued the most is wings. And when you look at
yeah,
those wings that surround around him, bringing in a guy like Nikhil Alexander Walker, Jalen Johnson coming back healthy, you know, Luke Kennard, you know, so yeah, just big wings around him.
yeah. Good luck guarding them. To your point, like yeah, they're going to be able to score the rock. Um, yeah, the Hawks have to be in that conversation. I do agree. I
Yeah.
think those would be the four teams, two from each conference, right? The Hawks and Orlando, and then you got Rockets and Denver out west. We'll see how the rest of the offseason plays out. We're just getting started here, so
Yeah, 4 days
I'm sure
in.
there's plenty more excitement to come, Slim. Anything else before we get out of here, my man? I know you got to work today, so good luck with
Um,
that.
yeah, appreciate it. But no, that's pretty much it on my end, bro.
Good, my man. I appreciate you hopping on with us. I appreciate everybody that tapped in and hopped on the stream today. It looks like we got 99 people. We're just one off of 100. 99 people watching the stream currently. If you're one of those 99, 98 people, head over to the YouTube channel for NBA to the Galaxy podcast and give us a subscription. Help us out. Help us grow. We just want to get more eyes on the pod so we can get more commenters like D-Rab, like Martian, to get involved in the show. We love hearing your thoughts. We love getting your thoughts involved in the show. So please help us out. Like the video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for tuning in today. And be sure to follow us on X and TikTok. You can find my man Slim at
Yes, sir.
RTR30111. You can find the NBA to the Galaxy podcast at To the Galaxy podcast. And you can
Yeah,
find myself at Scotty Drown. That's
yeah.
going to be it for this episode of NBA to the Galaxy podcast.
Peace. Bro, I
Have a
can't
great
stop
day.
laughing at D-Rap, bro.